The sound of silver spoons clinking against fancy plates echoed through the restaurant. It was one of those super fancy New York steakhouses where the waiters wore jackets that probably cost more than most people's rent. The chandeliers sparkled above, and the smell of cooked meat mixed with fresh bread filled the air. I sat at the head of a long table for 8 people, my legs swinging slightly under the table. A waiter poured red wine into a glass in front of my father, and I knew it would add another $300 to my already expensive bill. My dad, Dorian, swirled the wine in his glass like it was a magic potion. He looked proud, like he always deserved the very best things in life. He was 60 years old, with thick silver hair and a suit that fit perfectly. Even though he hadn't earned a paycheck in 5 years, he walked and spoke like he was very important. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? I want to know how far this story goes. How's the Quentinette treating you, Soren? He asked. Not because he really cared about the answer, but because he was thinking about his bills and what he needed from me. It's fine, I said quickly. I had been a senior investment analyst long enough to understand what he really meant. When he said, "How's the Quentinette?" what he really meant was, when am I getting my next check? My mom, Celine, sat beside him. Her diamond bracelets sparkled in the light like little stars. At 58, she was still very pretty, with smooth skin and blonde hair that looked perfect, thanks to some procedure she had recently done. "Soren, darling," she said, her voice sweet but her eyes sharp and calculating. "Did I tell you Lyra and Spencer finally found the perfect place for their wedding?" And there it was. That was the real reason for this dinner. My sister, Lyra, was sitting across the table, beaming from ear to ear. Her engagement ring was huge, 3 carats, because Spencer Davenport III didn't do anything small. At 25, Lyra was the pretty one in the family, the one whose success people mostly measured by who she was marrying rather than what she had achieved herself. "The place is amazing," Lyra said excitedly. "It's a villa from the 16th century with vineyards everywhere, a private chef, and everything you could ever imagine. It's perfect." Spencer, who looked tall but very plain, nodded along. He had grown up with so much money that he had never needed to try very hard at anything, including being interesting. He just nodded politely, letting Lyra speak. My brother Ezra and his wife Talia exchanged quiet glances. Ezra, 32, was always the quiet one in the family, the one who had found a way to escape the family's constant pressure by becoming a teacher. Talia held his hand under the table, squeezing it softly, trying to give him some courage. My Aunt Rowena sipped her martini quietly, watching the conversation with calm interest. She had seen family dramas like this before, and nothing seemed to surprise her anymore. "The resort is beautiful," my mom said, steering the conversation carefully, like a ship captain guiding a ship through stormy waters. "They just need a $15,000 deposit to hold the wedding date. I'll send you the payment information." All eyes turned to me. My stomach tightened. I felt nervous, the way I used to feel when my parents expected me to do something impossible. I took a small sip of water, trying to calm myself. "Actually," I said, my voice steadier than I felt, "I can't pay $15,000 right now. I'm trying to save my own money." The room went completely silent. Spencer suddenly looked at his napkin, like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. Ezra raised his eyebrows, clearly surprised. Even the waiter paused, unsure of what to do next. My dad laughed sharply, a short barking sound that made my stomach twist. "Savings?" he said loudly, enough for other people at nearby tables to hear. "Your job is to earn money. How does it feel to be the useless ATM here?" Everyone at the table laughed, except Ezra and Talia. The laughter hit me like a punch in the chest. It hurt more than I expected. And then, suddenly, I was 10 years old again. I was sitting at the dining table, and my mother was explaining our family roles like they were cards in a game. "Ezra is the free spirit," she said, patting his hair. "Lyra is the beauty," she said, kissing my sister on the cheek. Then she turned to me. "But you, Soren, you're the smart one. You are our retirement plan." The memory faded. Now I am 24, still paying off student loans, still trying to do the right thing, still trying to make my parents proud. My phone rang. It was my mom, but her voice sounded weak and scared. I could hear the faint sound of hospital machines in the background. "If we lose this house, it will kill me," she whispered. "Our lives are in your hands." That night, I had agreed to pay their mortgage. That was 5 years ago. The memory disappeared, replaced by the present. The laughter at the restaurant table continued, but something inside me, worn thin over 5 years, finally broke. I smiled, But it wasn't my usual smile. It was colder, harder, sharper. "You're right, Dad," I said, putting my fork down. "A useless ATM should be out of service." My mother's face tightened. "Soren, don't be dramatic. You're embarrassing us." "I'm serious," I said. Calmly, I pulled out my phone. Everyone at the table stared, shocked. "First, I'm canceling the $4,000 mortgage payment scheduled for Monday." Tap. "Done." "Next, I'm blocking your numbers on Zelle and Venmo." Tap. "Done." I threw my corporate card on the table. "This will pay for my meal and a glass of wine. The rest of you are on your own." My father stood up, and his napkin fell to the floor. "You ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you." I stood too, feeling taller than I ever had in my life. "I paid for my own Ivy League education. I'm done paying your mortgage." I walked out of the restaurant. People at other tables stared at me. The night air hit me like freedom. For the first time in 5 years, I could breathe. The Uber rattled through Manhattan traffic as my phone buzzed nonstop. My parents and sister sent message after message. "You'll kill me," Celine wrote. "Fix this immediately," Dorian wrote. "You've ruined everything. The venue won't hold without the deposit," Lyra wrote. My hands shook. My stomach felt like it was tied in knots. I had never stood up to them before. Then another message came, from Ezra. "Are you okay?" That was incredible. I stared at the screen. My brother had never supported me like this before. And here, in just 6 words, he did. Something warm and small grew in my chest. It was fragile, but it was stronger than the fear and panic that had been choking me for years. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I couldn't pretend that everything was normal while my parents sent panicked messages. I needed to think. I needed a plan. I got dressed in jeans and a sweater, not the tailored blazer my dad had always said I should wear to look the part of the family provider. Then I went downtown to my financial advisor's office. Quentin Rourke had handled my investments since I got my first bonus check. He had never questioned the steady flow of money to my parents' accounts, never suggested I might be overextending myself. When I walked into his office, his expression changed from professional welcome to concerned worry. "Soren, what's going on?" he asked. "Your message said it was urgent. We need to do a complete audit of your accounts." I nodded. I needed to see exactly how much money had left my accounts in the last 5 years. I needed to know the damage. 2 hours later, we had a number. 2 hours later, we had a number. Quentin turned his computer screen toward me. There was a spreadsheet with row after row of transactions, each one color-coded by the recipient. The total glowed at the bottom of the page, like a warning light. $350,000. I whispered the number, feeling it scrape raw across my throat. $350,000? Not including the little gifts I had bought them over the years. Not including dinners I had treated them to. Not including the loans I would never see again. $350,000. Quentin leaned forward, his usual calm professionalism cracking slightly. "Soren, the number is bad, but it's worse. I pulled your full credit report." The page showed 3 credit cards and a personal loan I had never seen before. All opened in my name, sent to my parents' 5-bedroom estate in Westchester. The balances on each hovered near their limits. $60,000. My stomach dropped. My own parents had committed identity theft. They had stolen money using my name. The sick feeling returned, but now there was also a strange sense of relief. I wasn't crazy. The vague unease that had been growing for years wasn't paranoia, it was survival instinct. At that moment, my father's face rose in my mind. Dorian, the former executive who had refused to take an $80,000 job because it was beneath him. Dorian, who somehow knew enough about credit applications to open accounts in my name without me noticing. Dorian, whose ego couldn't bear a step down the socioeconomic ladder, but whose morals apparently didn't stop him from committing a crime. And beside him, I could see my mother, Celine, the one who had whispered that our lives were in my hands. They weren't just taking advantage of me anymore. This was criminal. They had crossed a line. My mom always seemed to get sick at the worst possible times. Almost every time I asked her a question about money, she would suddenly start feeling weak, dizzy, or like her heart was beating too fast. Sometimes she even acted like she might faint. It always made me feel worried and guilty. I would drop what I was doing and try to take care of her. While I was busy worrying about her, my dad, Dorian, would quietly take my money. He didn't just take the money I had earned. He was also planning to take my money in the future. Last night, after leaving the restaurant, I felt a terrible panic inside. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. But this morning that panic is gone. Now I feel calm and sure. I see everything clearly. This is no longer just a problem in my family. This is a serious legal problem. I need help, and I am ready to fight back. I think about my therapist, Dr. Maris. I have been seeing her for 3 months. She is the one who first said that my family's behavior is called abuse. At first, I did not like that word at all. I even argued, saying that my parents just needed help. But now I see the truth. What they have been doing to me is wrong, and it is abuse. I take out my phone and call her office. Dr. Maris? This is Soren Vale. I need a lawyer for a serious money problem, I say. She does not ask me a bunch of questions. She just gives me the name of a lawyer. Call Cynthia Blackwell. She is very strong and fights hard for people in financial trouble, she says. I hung up the phone and made an appointment for tomorrow morning. I am not waiting to act. Today, I sat in my apartment and started making calls. I call the credit card companies and banks to report fraud. I freeze all my accounts so no one can take more money. I report everything. Each call I make, each form I fill out, and each account I freeze makes me feel stronger. I am not scared anymore. I am taking control. My phone keeps buzzing with messages from my parents. At first, they were angry. Then they seem confused. After that, they panic. Dorian's messages say things like, "What have you done? The card is not working." My mom's messages say the bank is calling about the mortgage. She wants me to call her immediately. I do not respond. I do not need to. For the first time in my life, I am not running from my family's demands. I am standing my ground. This is no longer about escaping. This is about fighting back and protecting myself. Monday comes and goes. The mortgage payment is late. My phone keeps buzzing with calls and messages from my parents. I finally silence it completely. For 12 whole minutes, it is quiet. But then they try a new trick. Voicemails start piling up. I play the first one while making coffee. My mom's voice sounds shaky and sad. "Soren, please. The bank is calling. They might take the house. Please call me back." I deleted it. The next message comes an hour later. She sounds angry now. "After everything I did for you, how can you do this? I gave up my career. I chose your schools. How can you repay me like this?" I deleted it too. By the afternoon, the messages start to sound scary. "You are tearing our family apart. Your father cannot sleep. I cannot eat. Is this what you want? To destroy us?" I set my phone down and feel calm. I am surprised at my own feelings. In the past, these messages would have made me feel guilty and panicked. I would have immediately rushed to send them money or apologize. But now, they just sound like people who are scared because they are losing control. My therapist calls this progress. I call it clarity. At exactly 7:14 p.m., the buzzer to my apartment rings. I check the security camera on my phone. I expect it to be a food delivery. But it is not. It is my dad's angry face. He presses the buzzer again and again. He shouts at the doorman. "I need to see my daughter now. This is a family emergency." The doorman Lucan stays calm. "Sir, if Soren wanted to see you, she would let you in," he says politely. "Do you know who I am? I pay for this building. My money bought this place," my dad shouts, his face red with anger. Lucan's face changes from polite to firm. "Sir, leave now or I will call the police," he says. That scares my dad. His shoulders slump. He runs his hand through his messy hair. He suddenly remembers he is Dorian Ashford, a respected man in the community, not a criminal. "Fine," he mutters. "Just tell her I was here." He leaves. 20 minutes later, a folded piece of paper slides under my door. I picked it up. It is written in my dad's angry handwriting. The pen has almost torn the paper in some places. The note says, "You owe us. Fix this." Just 4 words. Not "I love you." Not "I'm sorry." Not "let's talk about this." Just a demand. The words are underlined 3 times. I carefully placed it in a folder quentined, "Evidence." My phone chimes again. It is a text from my sister, Lyra. "Addie, Mom is having heart palpitations. She's so worried. Can you just pay for it? The doctor says it is stressful." My stomach tightens. This is her specialty, trying to make me feel guilty. 3 months ago, a text like this would have sent me running to my laptop to send money. But now I remember the $60,000 in fake debts, the credit cards opened in my name without permission, the loans I never saw. I feel nothing but disgust. I type 1 word back. No, then I block her number too. On Wednesday morning, I called my therapist, Dr. Fisher. She has been seeing me for 3 months, not a long time, but enough to know when something is an emergency. "I can fit you in at noon," she says, hearing something urgent in my voice. Her office smells like leather and tea. I sit in the worn chair and tell her everything that happened in the past 2 days. I think I might cry. I have always cried in her office when talking about my family. But today no tears came. Only cold, hard anger. They stole from me, I say. They tried to manipulate me. Now they are trying to force me back into line. Dr. Fisher nods. What's different this time? She asks. I see it all now, I say. The patterns, the manipulation, the lies. She smiles, not happy but like she understands. You weren't a victim, Soren. You were a survivor. Now you are a strategist. Strategist? I ask, unsure of what it means. Yes, she says. A strategist thinks carefully, plans carefully, and fights smart. You are not running anymore. You are planning and fighting back. The word feels like armor protecting me. What does a strategist do next? I ask. She helps me make a plan, like preparing for battle. Thursday morning, I met my new lawyer, Martin Cohen. His office is not fancy like I imagined. It is plain and filled with files. His handshake is firm. He looks directly at me. Let me understand, he says, reviewing my papers. Your parents have been slowly taking money from you for 5 years. About $350,000. And now, there is $60,000 in fake debts taken out in your name. Yes, I say. He cleans his glasses slowly. This is our leverage. This is our power. We can use this to fight back. For the next week, I will become like a detective. I go through every bank statement for 5 years, looking for every little transfer. For $1,000 here, $15,000 there. I print voicemails, save texts from Lyra, screenshot security footage of my dad threatening the doorman. Each piece of evidence makes me stronger. Each piece strips away another layer of guilt. By the following Wednesday, I have a thick file, 3 inches thick, showing 5 years of abuse and crime. I am ready. I sit in Martin Cohen's office. My hands are steady as I dial my parents' number. The call goes on speakerphone and Martin is recording it. My mom answers immediately. Soren? Oh, thank goodness. Mom, Dad. I say. I have reviewed my finances. I am willing to have one meeting to discuss this. The relief in my mom's voice is obvious. Oh, thank goodness. We knew you would do the right thing. Your dad found a lovely Italian restaurant. It will not be at a restaurant, I say, my voice calm and professional. It will be at my lawyer's office. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Be there. I hang up before she can respond. The silence on the other end is perfect. Martin nods. Well done. Just once. The power has shifted. They know they have lost control. The next morning, Martin and I sat in a plain conference room. The clock reads 9:57 a.m. My file sits between us, neatly labeled and organized. At exactly 10 a.m., Martin's assistant opens the door. Dorian and Celine walk in, looking annoyed and entitled. My mom wears her pearl necklace, her armor for difficult social situations. My dad's suit is freshly pressed. They sit down, thinking they can scare me back into submission. They have no idea what is waiting for them. All right, Soren, my dad begins, his voice carrying that familiar tone that once made me shrink. This little tantrum has gone on long enough. We are willing to accept your apology, Anne. Mr. and Mrs. Ashford, Martin interrupts, calm and professional. This is not a negotiation. We are here to inform you of your options. He slides a file across the table. It is a copy of a police report we have already filed with the NYPD for identity theft. My mom's hand stops halfway to the folder. Her fingers freeze in the air. The papers inside the folder show $60,000 in fake credit cards and loans that someone opened using my name. Richard, the lawyer, keeps talking. We have the bills, the loan applications, and the computer records that prove it, he says, very calm. I watch my parents' faces change right in front of me. My mom's face turns pale like chalk. She clutches her fancy purse tight, like it's a life jacket, like it will save her if the ocean of trouble gets too big. My dad's face turns dark red, almost purple, and it climbs from his neck all the way up to his hairline. How dare you? My dad yells, slamming his fist on the table so hard that the water glasses jump. This is a family problem. You would send your parents to jail over a misunderstanding. My mom's eyes filled with tears. Not the neat, polite tears she shows at fancy parties or at the country club, but messy, crying tears that smear her makeup down her face. Soren, how could you? She says. Her voice breaks, and she reaches her hands out toward me, like she wants to grab back all the years of money and care I gave them. I pull my hands back. After all the things they've done, all the lies, all the pretending, I finally have my own voice. After everything we did for you? We just needed a little help, my mom says. You have so much. It was your job, she says, and I hear it clearly. That is the guilt bomb, the thing they have used over and over again for years to make me feel bad whenever I wanted to say no, whenever I wanted to protect myself. I sit very still, my hands folded in my lap. I watch my mom cry and look for the familiar heavy feeling in my chest, the guilt that has been with me for years. And I find nothing. No anger, no hurt. Just a big, empty space where the guilt used to live. I turn to my lawyer and nod once. Richard keeps talking as if they didn't say anything. His voice is calm, like we are talking about the weather. The report is filed, he says. This is a required step for the credit companies to fix Soren's name. The district attorney is very interested. My dad's face twists with anger. I remember this exact look, the one he made when I said I wouldn't pay for Lyra's car insurance anymore. That look used to make me run and do whatever he wanted to calm him down. But Richard keeps going. He pulls out another paper. Soren has spoken with the district attorney. She will try to get probation instead of jail time. My mom looks up, hoping to shine a little through her tears. But there's a condition, Richard says. He slides another paper across the table. You agree to pay back the $60,000 in full. My dad laughs, sharp and angry. We don't have $60,000, he says, his voice trembling with both anger and fear. That's why, Richard says, sliding another set of papers. You will put your 5-bedroom house up for sale. Today. The money from the sale will go straight to the creditors to pay the $60,000. A quiet silence fills the room. I watch the truth hit them like a hammer. They have no way out. It is either sign the papers or go to jail. Their family problem is now a real legal punishment. My dad's hands, the same hands that used to pat my hair when I got straight A's, the same hands that signed loans in my name, begin to shake. My mom's shoulders slump. The fight drains out of her like air leaving a balloon. You can't be serious, my dad says. But the shouting and bluster are gone. His voice sounds old and empty. You are deadly serious, Richard replies. Sign the papers or the district attorney moves forward with charges. Your choice. My mom looks at me. Really look at me, maybe for the first time in years. Not as a bank, not as an ATM, not as someone who exists only to pay their bills, but as Soren. How will we live? She whispers. The words should make me feel guilty, make me want to rush to help them. But I think about the $350,000 I've already given them over the years. I think about the lies, the manipulation, and the fake accounts. I think about 5 years of working 60 hours a week to pay for their fancy lifestyle while my own future waited. I say softly, that is not my problem anymore. My dad's jaw moves as his pride fights with the need to survive. Finally, he reaches for the pen. This isn't over, he mutters while signing the papers. But we both know it is over. As the pen scratches across the paper, I feel a knot in my chest loosen. The heavy weight I have carried for years begins to lift. The meeting ends quickly. There are no sad goodbyes, no promises. Just cold, efficient paperwork. Outside, in the bright New York morning, I take a deep breath. It feels different from any breath I have taken in 5 years. Lighter. Cleaner. Free. My phone buzzes. A text from Ezra. How did it go? I look at the screen and type back. It's done. I'm free. The Ashfords' 5-bedroom house goes on the Quintinet next Tuesday. By Wednesday afternoon, 37 people had saved the listing, and 12 people wanted to see it. By Thursday morning, their friends are texting them questions. Downsizing? Asks the country club president's wife. Retirement home in Florida? Suggests Celine's bridge partner. My mom doesn't answer. For the first time in her 58 years, Celine Ashford has nothing to say. The shame is stronger than any argument could ever be. I watch from a distance. Not happy, just calm and clear. The heavy weight I carried for 5 years is finally gone. My shoulders straighten a little. My breathing deepens. My therapist calls it reclaiming my power. I call it survival. Ezra calls Friday night. It's like watching a meteor hit, he says quietly, like Dorian might hear him. Mom hasn't left her bedroom in 3 days. Dad just drinks in his study. Are they asking you for money yet? I ask, running my finger along my kitchen counter. The pause tells me everything. They tried, Ezra admits. I said no. I smile. She nods, thankful. Later, as Ezra sleeps on my couch, I stand at my window, looking at the city lights. I think about how parents are supposed to protect their kids, not use them as money machines. 2 weeks later, I got an email. The sale of the Ashfords' house is done. The $60,000 is fully paid to the creditors. My credit score jumps 47 points. My lawyer calls to tell me Dorian and Celine now have to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. There is no fancy elevator, no doorman, no prestige. The money left from the house sale barely pays the deposit. They didn't even look at me when they signed the papers. I tell my therapist later. Not once. How did that make you feel? She asks. Nothing, I say. I felt nothing at all. 3 months have passed. Lyra moves to Boston to start a fresh life. Ezra and Talia invite me over for dinner twice a month. I cook more at home. I sleep better. I even go on a few dates. I breathe. Then, one Tuesday evening, while I am checking work numbers, my phone rings. It is an unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Soren, it's my dad. His voice is small and older. We're having trouble with the deposit on the new apartment. I just thought maybe. 5 years ago, those words would have made me rush to my laptop, ready to send money. But now I say calmly, that is not my problem. A long pause. I can hear him breathing. Soren, please, he says. I hung up the phone. I feel no guilt. Just quiet, strong freedom. I block the number. I go back to my laptop. The spreadsheet has a new title. Condo down payments. 2-bedroom apartments with a view of Central Park. The useless daughter has become the one who escaped. 18 months later, morning sunlight pours through floor-to-ceiling windows. I stand in my 2-bedroom condo overlooking Central Park, coffee mug warm in my hands. The view still stops me sometimes, making me pause and just look. A calendar reminder pops up. Housewarming party. 7 p.m. I smile. The $60,000 restitution made the perfect down payment on this condo. Justice with a view. Last week, I ran into Spencer at a financial conference. He said Dorian is stocking shelves at Kroger. His head down, shoulders hunched. Celine works there part-time too. The mighty Ashfords are now ordinary people. I don't feel satisfaction, I just feel peace. The doorbell rings at 6:58 p.m. Ezra and Talia arrive first, arms full of groceries. We're making drinks, Ezra says, kissing my cheek. My brother moves around my kitchen like he belongs there. Talia arranges snacks on a platter. Your place looks amazing, Adri, she says. The condo fills quickly. My therapist brings homemade bread. My financial advisor and his husband admire the view. Warmth and laughter fill the room. No tension, no pretending. The doorbell rings again at 8:15 p.m. Lyra is standing there, holding a brown paper bag. She looks smaller than I remember, wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of fancy clothes. Soren, she says quietly over the party noise. I'm in therapy. I'm working at a coffee shop. I'm so sorry for everything. Inside the bag is a bottle of wine that cost $15. Not $15,000 for a deposit, just $15. The old Soren would have rushed to comfort her. Now I study her face and see Lyra as herself, not as a pawn. Thank you for coming, I say, stepping aside to let her in. It isn't forgiveness yet, just a door slightly open on my terms. My phone buzzes. It's an email from my mom. I deleted it without reading it. They were not invited. Later, when the noise inside grows louder, I step onto the balcony. The park stretches below, streetlights like strings of pearls. Inside, glasses clink and laughter rises. Ezra tells a story that makes everyone laugh. Lyra talks quietly with Talia. I sip my wine, feeling the cool night air on my face. For 29 years, I lived as someone's investment, safety net, and ATM. Standing here, watching the city lights shimmer against the darkening sky, I am none of those things. I am just Soren. And I am free.